All right, catching up on videos of things that I did to my Jeep. So just a little thing here. Somebody had asked about. Figured I'd do a little video on it. So I was looking at, wasn't really looking at intakes. I mean, honestly, I don't feel like they give a whole lot of power, but I did kind of want it for the sound more than anything. I honestly don't really like the exhausts on Jeeps that much. I don't think V6s sound that great. But the intake induction noise sounds good on pretty much any car. So I kind of wanted to do an intake, but I don't like the cold air intake so much on these because, well, for one, none of them are actually cold air intakes. They take them right from the engine bay. And two, I kind of like the factory snorkel setup that you see here. And I didn't want to change that because I like the protection that you get from, getting any kind of water intrusion into your intake. So I was looking at options of like, well, what can I do and retain this box? And then I remembered on my previous car, I used to have a Nissan 370Z, and one of the common things that people did were they would replace the factory tube, intake tube, with a silicone tube. And this was the company, is HPS Silicone Intake tube. And I remember they had it for those. I had it on my car. And it definitely improved the noise, at least, because it basically deletes the factory intake resonator. So on the factory intake, there's a long resonator that actually sticks down. It kind of goes down behind the radiator. And that actually is intended to muffle the noise so that it doesn't, you don't hear it inside, which I guess technically makes it more, comfortable, but these aren't comfortable vehicles anyway, so I don't know why you'd bother. So I wanted something that would kind of, get rid of that, keep it a smoother flow. And so I found this, and this is for 2012 and up JKs with the 3.6, and it just bolts right in place with the old one. It's just a straight silicone tube. It came with the what do you call these clamps for both sides, for the throttle body and for the airbox. And it came with like new holders here because the factory one actually is one piece that's molded with two attachment points here. This one, they give you these two little clips here that bolt in using the factory bolts so that it still runs the overflow tank from the factory. So I did that. And then I also did a drop-in air filter, which actually you can kind of see it. I'm not going to open this, but you can kind of see that this one extends down. So this is the Airaid air filter. It's the one which you can look it up. It's kind of got some depth to it. It's not just a flat panel. So essentially what you do is you got to take the airbox out. This is actually attached to the lower part of the airbox using two metal rivets. So you drill those rivets out, you pull this guy, and then this actually has a plastic piece that extends down and goes into the tube, into the airbox. So what you do is you have to cut off, I think it was about 3 inches or so from that, to make clearance for this larger air filter element. And then you reattach it. They give you new hardware to reattach this to the lower airbox, and then the filter drops in. I did have to trim all the way around it. There was like almost like a extra piece of like some sort of like, not flash, but it looked like there was an extra piece of the silicone or whatever gasket going around there. I had to trim that all the way around, but once I did that, it fit in perfectly into the slot. Reattaches just like that. And the thing I like about this is it's a dry filter, so the filtration on dry filters are usually pretty good. But the biggest thing is that dry filters don't necessarily flow as well as, say, your cotton gauze ones. But what this one does that makes up for it is surface area. So that filter element basically goes all the way around. So it's got much more surface area than just a straight panel filter. And surface area is how you make up for airflow when you have a more efficient filter. So this basically the airbox modification in conjunction with the removal of the resonator assembly in here essentially makes this thing sound like a cold air intake. It actually has a surprisingly nice growl. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still doesn't go anywhere. It's a heavy vehicle. And and it doesn't have a ton of power considering how big and heavy this is. I mean, this is our unlimited Rubicon Recon with 35s, and I didn't touch the gearing or anything. So, I mean, it's not going anywhere too quickly. But it certainly helps with the sound. You know, maybe throttle response got a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not even going to claim that. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I didn't spend a lot of money on it, which was great. You can search online for this silicone tube. It's pretty easy to find. I think I bought it from Auto Anything with like a 20% off coupon, so it was like probably $120 or somewhere thereabouts. And then the filter, you know, again, you could find those online as well. Pretty happy with it. And, you know, it's a dry reusable filter, so I'll just clean it every now and then with like Simple Green or something like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So any questions on it, let me know. Just one thing to note, now that I think about it, I did have to make a small modification, so you are probably not going to be able to see from here. Nope. But down here is where the attachment is for the intake air temperature sensor. And that attachment was a bit too long, so when you plug the sensor or push the sensor into that bit of silicone, it doesn't actually stick at all into the airstream. So I cut that piece of silicone down so that it's stuck further in, and then after that we were all good. So one small modification, I mean, literally it's a utility knife in 5 seconds and you're done. That's it. So any questions on this, let me know. I think it's a pretty nice setup. You pretty much lose nothing. You have good filtration, you get your sound, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. To me, I would take this over any of the cold air intakes any day. All right, take care.